I don't think everybody always acts in their self-interest. Most people spend a lot of their time destroying themselves, or at least not doing things that are good for them. So they might be doing things that they want, but we have an idea of self-interest as opposed to the idea of what you want now, right? Precisely to make that distinction. I know it's not good for me, but I want it. Okay, well, so then you have to decide which are you going to do.
But it depends. Again, it depends how you're defining what's good for you. Really, I mean I mean, if you want to take an objective view and say, okay, scientifically this is bad for your body. You know, for me to smoke. You know, scientifically it might be bad, but psychologically it might be really good for me.
So it
because
might be.
I might be under a huge amount of pressure, and I might think, right, I'm going to go outside, have a cigarette, and you know, it's a way of relieving stress. So it does still have a physiological benefit.
So before we settle what is really good for you, right? But notice that you can have the idea, I want this and it's not good for me. He wants that, but it's not good for him. Yeah. And you can raise the point, and you can do it in your own mind. Well, smoking's bad for me, but I still want to do it. Well, do I just mean it's bad for my body, but it's good for me in other ways, and that outweighs the bad for my body, or am I just kidding myself when I say that, right? You can have that thought process. And it's not just about what's bad for your body, like, is staying in this relationship good for me? Yeah. It's comfortable to stay in this relationship, but parts of me aren't. There's a real question you could have about whether what you want to do is good for you. So it's possible to have an idea of, and I think we do have an idea of, but it's vague and fuzzy for most of us, right? What's good for me on whole, or what my interest is on whole, that's distinct from what I want, so that it's a question of whether what I want is the same thing as is good for me.
I'm not sure you can distinguish like someone's passions from their interests. You know, I'm not sure you can distinguish that. For example, like, you name something, and I can tell you how it benefits you. I don't believe an individual is actually really capable of doing something that is genuinely not in their self-interest and not in the interest of someone else, because it will seem irrational.
So the question is, if you have I wanted to get back to choice, but the question, if you have an idea of self-interest, right, one of the things that it encompasses is that there are all sorts of different things that might be good for you or bad for you, or good or bad for you now, but there's some need to kind of sum them up and say, you know, there are always trade-offs, right?
Of course.
And so if I factor everything in that's relevant, is this thing best for me? Or is it one of these things that, although there's something to be said for it, like it feels nice, when I factor everything in, it's on whole not best for me. So if you have the idea that it's sort of a question about whether what someone's motivated to do in a moment is really what's on whole best for them. And there's a question about how we even figure out what's on whole best for someone, and whether there's some list of things that are what's on whole best for everyone, or whether each person has to form it for themselves. But as soon as you can draw that distinction between what you're motivated to do in a moment and what's on whole everything considered rationally best for you, then there's at least intelligibility to the question of which should you do.